Sad day for Denver coaster enthusiasts because Elitch Gardens will likely soon be biting the dust. Essentially what happened is that the Denver City Council approved a plan to redevelop the section of land that Elitch Gardens sits on, and that includes its parking lots and the immediate area surrounding the park. The goal is to include 8,000 residential units, schools, retail, restaurants, and the point is so that it's affordable and really kind of makes that section of downtown Denver a lot nicer because they're calling it the Riverwalk project. Elitch Gardens sits right next to the river, and so they want to have a nice area that really encourages tourism. People can walk around down there. So it would take up the 65 acres that is Elitch Gardens and the 17 acres of surface lots that surround it. However, that being said, Elitch Gardens is not on the immediate chopping block. The idea is that this plan takes place throughout what could be 25 years. And this was just approved a day or two ago. So knowing how things work, it will take a while for all of this to be set in place. They did release some concept art of what the end goal will probably look like. And it does look nice. Like, it'll be really nice for downtown Denver. However, it is sad the fact that they would have to take out an entire theme park to do so. And here's what amazes me. It sounds like the owners of Elitch Gardens don't have any say in the matter. It's like the City Council of Denver said, yeah, we're gonna do this. You don't have much of a choice. I understand that you get a lot of business and you're a huge staple of Denver. Everyone knows Elitch Gardens, but yeah, we're just gonna remove you. Like, that amazes me that the city would just be okay with removing an entire theme park. They did say that the idea would be that they would actually relocate it, but you know how things go. Will it actually end up being relocated, or will it just be demolished and that's it? Honestly, I could see it going either way, like being realistic. You have to remember that Elitch Gardens is one of the only parks in the country that is actually sitting in a downtown area. Really, the only other park that is like that is Kentucky Kingdom. So that land that sits on is prime real estate. That's that whole argument that people were having over Kentucky Kingdom after Six Flags shut it down. They wanted to use the land for better space, and so here we go, we're having the same issue across the country. So I imagine that if on the chance that they were able to relocate the park, it would be in the suburbs of Denver. According to an Elitch Gardens spokesperson, they said that the park will stay for now. Again, this goes back to that they're going to work on the surrounding areas. They actually said that the first thing that they're going to do really is build a parking garage, and that'll be in that parking lot that Elitch Gardens is currently using. So they'll build the parking garage so that way they can convert the rest of the parking area into something a lot better. But the spokesperson says that if and when the time comes to move the park for this development, the owners will have to find a better home. The irony behind all of this is that the park is already moved once. The park opened in 1980 and operated until 1994 before they had to actually move the entire park because they want to use the plot of land for something else. So the original park closed permanently, and a majority of the rides were moved to the new property. So let's think about this. If Elitch Gardens were to pick up and move somewhere else, what would stay and what would go? I think it's safe to say that most of the steel coasters would probably stay. I could see them going with a different layout for the park. Elitch Gardens kind of has an interesting layout as it is, so if they had a lot more space to work with, they could come up with something better. And the classics like the carousel and the Ferris wheel would stay. But there are a couple attractions I'm worried about, notably Twister 2. It's called Twister 2 because they completely built a new wooden roller coaster in homage of Mr. Twister at the original park, which they just completely leveled. Twister 2 is old and is not in the best shape. This is a ride that I do not think would be sticking around. As we get closer to when Elitch Gardens knows that they'll be closing for good, I wouldn't be surprised if they just decide to close Twister 2 a few years before the park goes. I don't think we'll be seeing any large additions to this park anytime soon. I think the days of new rides coming to this park have come and gone. They are getting something new for 2019, but I wouldn't expect much in the coming years. If they add anything at all, it'll probably be something really small. Lance over at Screamscape makes some great points. He points out that as they have a date set to permanently close the park will have to decide if maintenance issues are worth the cost, considering that it would only last for a limited amount of time. And so what would likely happen is they would set some things to the side, the park would start to get a little bit run down because it's not getting the proper tender loving care. Certain rides close, certain areas close, and then it'll finally come time to the closing year and it'll just be bulldozed to the ground. So don't be surprised if the park deteriorates before the closing date is announced. So I mean, you could look at this from two different point of views. The first is the obvious, well, I grew up going to Elitch Gardens, I've always enjoyed spending my summers here. It really sucks that this is leaving. Or you could look at it from the point of view of, you know, this new area that is going to be taking up Elitch Gardens is actually be pretty nice, and there is a chance that they will move the park to a better location. They can use that as an excuse to make the park better than it already is. But I think there are a lot of ifs in that scenario, so we'll just have to see what happens. At the moment, I would say it is sad news, but we still have some time left to enjoy the park. So if there's any advice, I'd say go visit Elitch Gardens, because we don't know how much longer it'll be like this. But that's just my take on Elitch Gardens closing. Let me know down in the comment section below what your thoughts are on this. And of course, stay tuned for more news and coaster rumors and other various topics here at Coaster Studios.